Good Wednesday evening, everyone. It is April the 20th, and tonight we're actually going to talk about a story that came out of the NCAA Frozen Four. Yes, there are winter championships that are just now finishing up. As a matter of fact, this one ended up about 2 weeks ago, but the big story out of it came earlier this week. In college basketball, the Player of the Year award is called the Naismith Award after the founder of the game, James Naismith. In college football, we all know it's the Heisman Trophy. In college hockey, especially at the Division One level, it's known as the Hobey Baker Award. Some of the players in the past that have won this have been future Hall of Fame goaltender Ryan Miller, who spent time with the Canucks, spent time with the Sabres, spent a cup of coffee with the St. Louis Blues. Um, Johnny Hockey, Johnny Gaudreau, the star of the Calgary Flames, Jack Eichel. Next question on him. Um, Often controversial whether or not to call him a bust, Jimmy VC, and currently NHL young studs, Cale Makar, the standout defenseman of the Colorado Avalanche, the NHL likely President's Trophy winning Colorado Avalanche, and the player who took over the playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs last year, Cole Caulfield of the Montreal Canadiens. This year's winner was a 24-year-old goaltender out of Minnesota State University named Dryden McKay. Yes, he was named after legendary goaltender Ken Dryden and backed up excuse me, backed up his play by his 3 years at Minnesota State, winning at least 24 games each of the last all 3 seasons. The Mavericks went to the Frozen Four each of the last 2 years, were knocked out in the semifinals last year and lost to the Denver Pioneers, who won their 25th quote unquote national championship just a couple of weeks ago in a 5-1, basically paintbrushing at that point. The the hilarity of McKay, what we're going to talk about here in a second, but it's equally as hilarious of just how great a season he had. He set an NCAA record this year with 37 wins. Keep in mind the Mavericks won 38 games, so McKay was in net for all but one of those games. 34 of those games were shutouts, yet he gives up 5 goals in the national championship, and Minnesota State is still looking for that exclusive first national championship themselves. McKay did not go drafted last year, unlike the Michigan Wolverines, who sent, I want to say, 5 players in the first round, including 3 of the top 5, headlined by Owen Power, who went to the Buffalo Sabres and made his season debut just a week ago. The fact that McKay wasn't drafted certainly was not a detriment to his playing ability. Everyone knew that this is the kind of goaltender you wish was in your locker room, at least until the last couple of weeks ago. And again, we're going to cover that here in a second. The fact is, McKay is only 5'11". When you have NHL goaltenders right now dominating, especially this year, Andrei Vasilevsky of the Tampa Bay Lightning is 6'3" and has won back-to-back Stanley Cups and is widely considered the best goaltender on the planet. Jacob Markstrom from the Calgary Flames towers over really anybody else in the league at 6'6", but right behind him is Darcy Kemper of the Colorado Avalanche at 6'5". This is before you would have smaller guys, Hasek, Brodeur, smaller guys who basically had rubber bands for limbs and could cover so much ground because of their stature. Now you have these larger than life players who take up a good chunk of the net, can be as athletic as they need to be when they need to be, but you still also have guys who have made careers out of being, again, keeping on the tradition of the Haseks and the Brodeurs. Jonathan Quick comes to mind in Los Angeles. He's only 6'1", only 2 inches larger than McKay. Could McKay actually sign as a free agent as the heir apparent to Quick. Boy, wouldn't that be nice to pair, to actually have him stopping pucks with as good as LA is, with this eventual turnaround of theirs, where LA is likely going to make the playoffs after being near the bottom of the Pacific Division the last couple of years ago. And just think what another season of Quentin Byfield is going to do for that franchise, especially again as they start to turn the corner. The problem with McKay is that McKay cannot suit up, regardless of who he's signed by, for 6 months. And I say who he signed by because by foregoing the draft, he actually doesn't need to go back into the draft portal per se, and a team would have to waste turn him into a prospect, send him back to a junior team, or stick him down in the in the AHL for 3 or 4 years to develop. They can actually sign him as a free agent, put him down in the AHL for a handful of games, maybe half a season, bring him up, and then turn him loose, kind of like what the St. Louis Blues did with Jordan Binnington for a while, even though Binnington was ironically enough in the Boston Bruins farm system, would not report after the teams kind of switched AHL affiliates, brought him up and ended up winning a Stanley Cup, regardless of what you think of Binnington being a hothead. The issue with McKay, why he can't suit up, is that in taking vitamins to try and boost his immune system with the onset of the Omicron variant of COVID, coming back over the last 5-6 months, there was a taint in those vitamins to where McKay tested positive for a banned substance on the US ADA list, which, had he actually decided to fight this, instead of taking a 6-month suspension, could have actually gone 6 to 8 months, 10 to 12 months. He could have ended up missing an entire season. And going in as a 24-year-old rookie in the NHL kind of puts you a little bit behind the 8 ball, unless you're actually with the Buffalo Sabres, who ran, I want to say, 6 goaltenders out there this season, and they still have 3 games to go, counting tomorrow night's action. This actually, as bad as this looks for McKay, the amount that he tested positive for was a millionth of a percent or something like that. I read that it's so small, but even the smallest amount would actually show up on this. It was a trillionth of a gram, as I'm going back reading over this. So for McKay to actually accept his fate, sit out for 6 months, get himself ready to make the transition from the NCAA up to the NHL, likely going to the AHL level. He's not going to be in the AHL for long. I guarantee that. He might actually be up. If he can actually report by mid-October of next year, don't be the least bit surprised by Thanksgiving he is on an active NHL roster, whoever signs him, whether it's a 2-way contract, whether it's a 1-way contract, or if he just absolutely blows somebody out of the water, where you have a situation like a Seattle, like a Chicago, like an Arizona, like a Buffalo, where their goaltending situation is all over the place. Even though Buffalo is getting steady goaltending the latter part of the season and playing much better hockey under Freddie Anderson. Freddie Anderson is 41 years old. Jonathan Quick is 36 years old. And yes, Jonathan Quick has 2 Stanley Cup rings, but Jonathan Quick doesn't have a whole lot of years left in him, and the Kings don't have a whole lot behind him, especially if they want to make that next push and try and get themselves into where, let's say, the Calgary Flames are in the next couple of years. Now, I don't see Calgary really kind of coming off that perch at the top of that division with as loaded as they are. But it would be very, very nice to see the Kings kind of, have somebody like Quick slide out and somebody like Dryden McKay slide right in. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I hope you guys enjoyed the live and uncensored version of the Wise Guy Sports Show, even if you went back and watched the replay on my YouTube channel from this weekend. Mike and I have a lot coming up before too long. I'm not sure if we're doing a show this week, but more than likely next week or the week after, which actually I think would either would be like the first Saturday of May. We're planning on doing some form of a roundtable after the NFL draft and all these moves that have been made. It's going to be Mike, myself, Alex from '07, and Willie from the Shakeback Media Group, which we tried to do for the draft show. And then the next Wise Guy Sports Show should be sometime early to mid May as well. But again, like and subscribe, and we will see you guys soon. Take care.